It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and TanMan.
All right, boys and girls, children of all ages, men and women, welcome into the Border War. This is episode 124. I'm the TanMan. I'm joined here, hopefully, by BG.
What does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean?
It means that
hopefully what?
It means that hopefully we'll have a great show.
Why don't you just say something if you're thinking about it? What do you mean? Do we not normally have a good show?
I think so. But listen, don't get so jumpy, man. Don't get so defensive.
Well, you don't normally say stuff like that.
I hope we have a great show.
That's not what you initially said.
In case you haven't noticed, BG's a little jumpy today. So before we get started, we want to thank all the listeners out there. Thanks to everyone who's downloaded and listened to last week's episode and the episodes from 6 months ago to a year ago, because those still
somebody's listening to something.
Get some traction.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Twitter at the Border War. You can follow BG at BG_Border War.
How many characters do we get in naming a show?
I'm not sure,
because I think some of what people are doing is, if you're finding yourself listening to old content and you don't want to be, pay attention to the date of the show too, because it might say NFL update.
Yeah,
but if it's from January the 22nd, then that's going to be
there's no new news in there.
Different from what we would say now.
Yeah. And I am on Twitter at TanMan3264.
I thought you were changing that.
I haven't gotten around to it yet. It's been a busy week.
A lot going on.
It's been a busy week. A lot
running
going on.
into people at the gym
and
recognizing
giving them a casual hi,
yeah,
and keep walking. An interesting week. Anyway, we're on Facebook. All the many platforms that you can find the shows. Anyway, let's get into it. Episode 124. We're going to be talking about some baseball this afternoon. Baseball. The Atlanta Braves, BG, they are on fire.
5.5 games.
5.5 games
in front of the Phillies. I said it on my solo show a couple of weeks ago. My predictions about the Atlanta Braves have happily been way off. They had the second best bullpen in baseball during the month of June.
I saw that. I think it was against the Mets the other night.
In fact, they did all kinds of amazing things during the month of June.
Yeah, I think it was against the Mets the other night. The bullpen kind of faltered and let them down. Of course, that brought out all the bullpen haters and all the boo-hooers. And then I saw somebody else come back behind with that same thing. But guys, the ERA in the month of June is like 2 point something.
I'll tell you, man.
Everybody relax.
People's narratives. I was just having that conversation with our mutual friend before you showed up here at the studio, before we went on the air, about how you can't tell baseball fans facts. And it's a strange thing because as stat-oriented as the game is, and his contention was that, all these talented pitchers, Mike Soroka in particular, could be having, he's having Greg Maddux-like numbers, but you can't tell anybody that. Oh, he's nothing like Maddux. Maddux, when he threw a pitch, the ball turned to pure gold.
The Rays have been shown down, and Angels carried the ball to home plate.
Oh, God. Yeah, but you would think baseball fans would be the most factual people on the planet because everything's a number.
Wait, I think you
can't tell them that.
I think you can make that argument with sports in general. I mean, you hear it all the time with Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan's the greatest player that ever lived, the greatest player I've ever seen.
You know what?
But you start numbers to numbers, and you're like, man, we've got some guys now who are doing things that are
really curious
really close.
That you brought that up because that's the exact same. He asked me, he said, who do you think the figure sort of most mythologicalized by, a lack of whatever from the past? Yeah. I said, Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah. No,
Michael Jordan.
People act like he never missed a shot.
No one could score on him. I'm like, you need to get back and watch his game. He was a damn good player. But, but he was a human being.
Yeah, like I said, people act like Jordan never missed a shot. It's...
I'll tell you what, though. We'll get to that later. Not real happy with him right now.
No, that'll be for episode 125. The Atlanta Braves, since they ran into the buzzsaw of pitching up in Pittsburgh at the beginning of the month, They have not lost a series, BG.
They've won over, what are they,
20,
21 games this month, which is crazy.
They've got the second best record behind the Dodgers in the National League by at least 4 or 5 games. And you're starting to hear rumblings now that the Dodgers, a few weeks ago, everybody kind of had the Dodgers head and shoulders above everybody else. That might still be the case, but you're starting to hear some of the baseball people now go, listen, the Atlanta Braves are coming. The Braves are as serious a challenger for the Dodgers National League crown. I think they've won the West, 8 or 9 straight years. They've been to back-to-back World Series now. And it seems like the Atlanta Braves are getting ready to make their run at L.A. this fall.
I'm still waiting to see if they pull off even just one more big move or any moves at all. We'll see on that, and it's a slow developing story to say the least. But look, you're right. This is the team Braves fans have been promised. And it showed up a little early last year, but it turns out maybe
it was right on time.
Maybe it was right on time for those guys because these kids, they've gotten a look at LA, and I think it matters that they beat them one game. Yeah, it's just one game, but you went out there and you drew blood.
Yeah.
You punched the big blue monster in the mouth. You didn't just go 4 games or 3 games down and walk out the door. No, you got one.
You got one.
And
we talked then about how important it was for that young team to win a game.
We both thought it was huge that they went out there and competed. And one of the other games, I can't remember which game in the series it was super close heading into the 8th inning before the Dodgers scored a couple. But no, I'm the temper your expectations guy. It's the Redskins, Braves, Gamecock combo that does that to you over time. All right, hold on now. Pump your brakes. But I'll tell you this. I don't know that Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies and those guys, I certainly don't think they're intimidated by the expectations of all this. And again, Freddie Freeman. You remember when we did that show, and I referenced it in my solo show when you were at the beach a couple weeks back. We did a show, I believe, probably toward the end of May, kind of talking about the Braves, and that's probably when I made my prediction that they would be 10 games under 500 by the middle of June. And we talked, 15 games and I talked about how interesting I thought it was that we did a whole Braves segment. I thought it really spoke to the future that we didn't even mention Freddie Freeman. Well, you can't talk about the Braves and not mention Freddie Freeman right now. Obviously, according to wins above replacement, he's the 5th most valuable outfielder in Major League Baseball right now. He had 33 RBIs in June, man. Making 33 RBIs in June. He is putting together numbers that I should have gone back and looked. I'm curious. I want to know at the All-Star break when the last time a Braves batter had these kind of stats. It really might be Chipper Jones, Dale Murphy material here because he is putting the ball into the seats pretty regularly. On pace to hit 44 home runs, I think, which is a Dale Murphy number.
How many did Chipper hit the year he won the MVP? He had like 50 something.
Yeah, no, it was up.
It's close to 50.
But again, you could make the argument Chipper was hitting those 50 home runs in a different baseball game than we're playing now.
Well,
I may make the argument that if Freeman hits 40 home runs in this baseball season,
well, I would counter that by saying I think that if you look at some of the offensive numbers, we might be starting to trend back that way a little bit.
We might be, but I think I wonder if on the scale of performance-enhancing drugs versus not enough talent at pitching.
Whoa!
No, I'm saying that's all it was then. That's all it was.
Are you insinuating that Chipper Jones was?
I'd be really surprised if he wasn't. Have you ever read his autobiography?
I have not.
Man, there ain't much Chipper didn't do. I put it this way, though.
He was a Rolling Stone back in the day.
It would not affect you the way it does some people But I'll put it this way. If you're a big, big Chipper fan, man, don't read that book.
Really?
Don't read that book. He's very candid.
That's awesome, man. That's
No,
awesome.
I mean, and it didn't have to be. I mean, he didn't have to do that. But back on topic, Freeman is having the best season that I can remember a Braves offensive player having in the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's having those kind of numbers. And, you know, really not too far behind him is Ronald Acuna Jr., who, I mean, you know, off to a slow start. Really kind of, and he was another name we didn't mention in that May show. But, you know, he comes in the same fifth most valuable outfielder in the league with that wins after replacement stat.
Is he earning his keep?
He is.
Oh, okay.
That's a great talking point.
Yeah,
he's earning his keep. Did you hear the clip about the after he hit the home run in Pittsburgh? One of their announcers apparently was so triggered that he made a comment about how in my day he wouldn't have been wearing that chain around his neck. He wouldn't have been wearing that fancy gold chain. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure the Pirates have no guys wearing gold jewelry. No. Just a Braves thing.
This is off topic. Did I ever tell you about taking a tour of the Pirates Stadium?
I think you did.
Yeah.
I think you told me that you went to a game there and it was 27 degrees below
Yeah,
zero.
we went to Salt. We're taking a tour of the Pirates
And
Stadium.
it is super, super close to the Mustard Palace the Steelers play in.
Oh, no, it's
I've been
across the parking lot.
there. I just haven't been to a game.
So we're taking a tour. Me and my dad. We're going around the stadium, and it's like it might be just us and the tour guide. Like there might be one or two other people walking with us, and we're going through seeing all the parts of the stadium. When we get to the part of where they have the suites, and the lady makes a comment. You know, each suite is numbered for the year that the Pirates won the World Series. I don't know what they are, and she kind of
Lots of them probably in the 70s.
Yeah. And she kind of turned around and made the comment, I don't know what they'll do if the Pirates win another one. I looked at it like, I don't think that's going to be a problem for a while. But, no, like I said, the Braves, Acuna, Freddie Freeman, they're both starters. Mike Soroka.
Mike Soroka should have gotten in. I mean, it's why did they make it sound like pitchers don't matter as much?
He is in.
I know that. But what I'm saying is, why do they announce them with the reserves? Like, the pitchers.
Well, because
I don't get that.
Well, I guess because you don't actually know this. Like he's not, but he may not. I guess depending on when his date to pitch for Atlanta is, he may not even play in the All-Star game, and so the starting pitcher
it's like the Pro Bowl.
Kind of up to the manager.
It's like the Pro Bowl. It's something to put on your file. Like I'm a Pro Bowler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You made the All-Star team. You made the All-Star team. Soroka has just come out of nowhere. I mean, kind of like Fultonevich did last year.
Well,
he's just been.
Let's hope that Soroka maintains this career arc that he's on a little better than Fultonevich did, because he's on his way out, I think.
I mean, Fultonevich hasn't been healthy this season. I think he's still pitching rehab in Gwinnett, isn't he?
I think he had a nice start the other day down in Gwinnett, but things I've read make it sound like they might give him another shot, and they might not.
You got other guys too, and I keep coming back to Max Fried, and I know his numbers have been like upper 3, lower 4 ERAs. I mean, it's a young kid. I mean, what is he, 22, 23?
Yeah.
Man, his stuff, every time I see him pitch, it's just nasty. I mean, and I just think that there's not going to be room for guys a little longer in the tooth like Fultonevich on this squad, particularly with some of the moves the Braves have been making lately.
Look, we talked for so long, and we heard so many people talk about the Braves farm system, and in particular, the pitching that was down there, and you knew that at some point you're going to have to start making some decisions on some of these guys, whether they were in Atlanta right now or whether they were on the come up. We kept going, they need an ace. And I think you and I both said, look, just pump the brakes. Let's see if one of these guys maybe develops into that ace that you're out there searching for. It seems like Soroka has done that, and like I said, in my opinion, it seems like Fultonevich is going to be one of the odd men out before too much longer. Like you said, I know he's been injured. I know he was hurt to start the year, but I mean, there's too many other guys behind him. If he's not right, too many other guys behind him in the minor leagues to keep putting him out there, and I think they'll end up moving on from him, which is crazy when you think about where he was at this time last year.
He started game one of the first post-game series they had made.
So this time last year, we're talking about him making the All-Star team.
Oh,
now
absolutely.
He's got an ERA at whatever it is, 6, and he's down at Gwinnett.
Pitching is a game of inches, half inches. I mean, when you're a little bit off, you're a little bit off.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a little bit off can be the difference between a ground ball to the shortstop and a liner into the gap. I mean, that's baseball.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the Braves have got 3: Freeman, Acuna, Soroka,
and they could still get some more. I mean, the injuries can change things. I mean, that stuff will happen rapidly. But
do they still have the rule that every team has to have a player?
I think they do.
Do they?
I think a position player. Yeah. Yep.
What do you think about that?
Nah, not a fan.
Really?
Not really a fan. I know why they're doing it, but it's not working. And I'm gonna when we get to this, I know what you're gonna ask me here in a minute. No, we'll talk about it then. We'll talk about that then.
Well,
Well,
that's where I was going because.
Okay, fine. I don't like it then. I don't like the idea of it's weird too because baseball is the sport that doesn't try to even anything up. I mean, we'll let the Yankees spend $87 million on their starting pitching, and the Pittsburgh Pirates don't spend $87 million, on their stadium. I mean, like
for the longest time, I was always on the baseball needs a salary cap. Yeah, they need to rein it. And then as I got older and got to really looking at it, I'm like, I really reversed course on that because you don't need it. I mean, baseball is the one sport that you don't need it, and Tampa Bay is a great example of that.
Well, I mean,
they're having a great year, and
I
their
wasn't
payroll
trying
was like
to make
$20
the
million.
argument that it should be or it shouldn't be a salary cap. I'm just pointing out that it's kind of contradictory for baseball to let people spend as much as they're willing to spend.
Yeah.
Television markets, whatever. I mean, the world's not fair. If you live in New York, you're going to have a good baseball team. If you live in Pittsburgh, you're going to struggle. If you live in Cincinnati, you're going to struggle. And then to turn around for the All-Star balloting and say, let's try to represent everybody. Because they're not a bring everybody along kind of league.
I like the idea of having everybody. As long as the game is what it is now.
But I wonder what it would look like if we had it the other way. Because you'd have
you'd have
about 9 Yankees and about 7 Red Sox and 18 Dodgers and
you'd have 6 teams that didn't have a player in the All-Star game, and they might not have a player in the All-Star game for years at a time. I mean, how many years were the Kansas City Royals terrible? And without something like that, they probably would never have an All-Star.
And I remember when Gerald Perry was the Braves' only All-Star. They'd sent Gerald Perry. After Dale Murphy went to the Phillies, obviously, because
he was just kind of
he was the
token Brave All-Star.
He would have decent years. Was he a first baseman or right fielder? I can't even remember. I want to say he played a little of both, but no. Perry would bat, 312, hit 30 home runs, knock in about 102.
But no, I like the idea of having everybody there. And like I said, as long as the game, you don't try to peddle the baseball All-Star game into this World Series advantage thing like they were doing before. As long as it's just a baseball game in the middle of the summer to take a break.
I got you. I think it bit the Braves a little bit. You got a guy like Ozzie Albies who probably should have made the All-Star team. Dansby Swanson probably should have made the All-Star team.
Yeah.
And it's because and plus they got more votes. I mean, Albies got 2 million more votes, I think, than the cat from Arizona. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. I can't pronounce it anyway. Who won? The guy might be arguably a better player, but Braves have a much bigger fan base. I mean, Braves probably in the top 5 sized fan bases in the country, so they jumped on that. But if you're
which is not something that you would have gotten even just a few years ago, because that was always the knock on Atlanta was their fans were terrible. They never came out, and I guess maybe the kind of resurgence of the team, the young guys on the team, kind of re-energized the fan base a little bit.
I think that you needed some new blood. I mean, baseball in general. I mean, like the Braves need stars, and they've got stars now. I mean, like there are guys
At a very controllable salary for many more
Oh,
years
my
now.
word. Yeah, that's a whole
different discussion.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, well, have you got anything else to add to the show?
Well, I mean, I was just going to say, as far as just snubs, I mean, I think you can't argue that if you were only going to pick 3 Braves to go, you got the right.
You got the right 3.
You got the right 3. If a guy like Freddie Freeman had gotten left off, or well, really Mike Soroka, I mean, I could actually see him having been left off, despite the fact that he's got like Cy Young type numbers.
Well, I was going to say, not for the guy from the Dodgers, I think Soroka would be getting some Cy Young consideration.
But I think some of that's just my fatalistic view on fanhood, like that I'm just like, I probably don't even know who he is. But anyway, no, I think that look, like you said, it's just a baseball game, and if Albies, if Dansby Swanson, if some of those guys, Josh Donaldson, if they want to take it as a snub and that motivates them, hey man, have fun. Because the whole focus of this, like you said, Soroka won't even pitch if it interferes with they're in first place. If you're a Braves fan,
I think if his pitch
you start getting upset about the All-Star game, just remind yourself of 2 things. The game doesn't matter. We're in first place.
Yeah, and if his pitch day falls on Saturday or definitely Sunday, Soroka won't pitch at all.
I'll tell you, though, the one thing that does concern you a little bit is it does seem like the All-Star break is long enough that it really does demarcate that season. And teams change after the All-Star break. And I would rather just keep this momentum going after the June they've had.
I will say, I think after the All-Star break, you'll have about 3 weeks or so before the trade deadline. And what they've done with the trade deadline this year was, in the past, you'd have July 31st, and then teams would kind of slide guys through waivers and make moves. All that's gone. They've closed that loophole. July 31st, when you wake up on August 1st, your team is what your team is. That's it. And so I think the next 3 weeks after the All-Star game, you're going to see some of these teams jockeying for position. And what we've seen, how crazy the NBA free agency has gone, I think I could see something like that happening on the baseball side where some teams know, listen, we're not going to be able to slide these guys through waivers into August, and some deals are going to get made this summer. Because it seems like every year you hear, this guy might get moved, that guy might get moved. And none of it ever happens, and it just kind of goes out with
some of it
whimper.
Goes with the everydayness of baseball. I mean, you feel like, can you imagine covering baseball every day? I mean, you got to talk about something.
Yeah.
But there you are. So I mean, that's really the thing. I mean, to me, it's still a lot of this leading into the end of July. I mean, Madison Bumgarner,
Well, Madison Bumgarner.
Everything I read still says Braves Yankees. That's it.
I saw.
That's it.
I saw Mike Minor, a name that Braves fans might remember. I think he's having a really good year in Texas right now. Mike Minor's a name to keep an eye on. If Atlanta's looking for another starter, maybe doesn't want to pay the price for Bumgarner. Maybe Minor comes at a little cheaper price. Maybe he comes back to Atlanta. So, like I said, next few weeks, as we close out the All-Star break and close out July, I think the next few weeks are going to be really interesting on the baseball side.
Cool.
I think you could see some names get moved. That's it for episode 124. You can email the show at Carolina
you feel like it went okay?
at gmail.com.
Worried at the beginning of the show.
I was a little concerned.
I mean, how do you feel now?
I mean, I feel fine.
Fine?
I feel fine.
You don't feel good? You don't think it went well?
Would you like me to...
I mean, I'm just asking, man.
Get a kazoo?
What?
Would you like me to get a kazoo and
what does that mean?
throw a party and balloons and confetti?
Okay. Continue. Just do your little thing. Do your little closing. Say your unnecessarily complex Twitter handle. Oh, you're just gonna play the show. You're just gonna stop it.
I don't like to air the dirty laundry in public.